Hey guys, See the Geek here, back with another Star Wars Unlimited video. Trying to do more video content when I can. My work schedule is constantly changing, so I really don't have a lot of time to do these kind of videos. I wish I could do more. My work schedule is going to be changing pretty soon once again, so it may not be any videos for a while. This one I kind of want to do because it does pertain to the decks I'm currently playing in Star Wars Unlimited. This video is mostly going to focus on Heroism Yellow and Heroism Blue, um, and Green. Uh, Obviously, I've played Sabine since set one. That's been my main deck and my main focus. Currently playing Sabine Yellow. Um, Once again, Sabine's gotten more upgrades. So for this one, I'm going to go over the cards in the new set. Now that we have the full set list is out now. I'm on SWUDB, which has all the cards already with images. And there was some interesting stuff in this set. Sabine Yellow changes not even every set, but changes like every format, every meta. Even the slightest meta shift forces Sabine Yellow to change. Sabine Green doesn't change too much, because Sabine Green kind of has everything it needs. It has ECO, it has timely intervention, it has Rebel Assault. And I think this is be the first set where Sabine Blue is actually a possibility. With it has a optimum card in each card slot for each cost. Something that I've been experimenting with, and it may be a thing. I'm probably the only person playing it, but there's definitely enough cards now in Hero Blue where I think Sabine Blue is actually a viable possibility, and it's actually a decent deck. I haven't done a whole lot of playtesting with it, but I don't know how it will hold up to like Sabine Green or even Sabine Yellow, but I think it is a deck where it's like, okay, it can actually do stuff now. There's enough cards in each card slot where it's like, okay, you have options where you can play, you have side deck options, you have at least semi-decent options across the board for the deck, where before you had very limited and very few options. And I think much like with Yellow, Sabine Green is staying Rebel Tribal, but I think Sabine Yellow and Sabine Blue are going to have to deviate a little bit outside of the Rebel space. There'll still be Rebels in the deck, but I think both of them will have to deviate ever so slightly, because this set brings a lot of really good non-Rebel cards. I'm not even sure if there's any Rebels in this entire set. I didn't double check that, but I didn't see any. But like Sabine Green was already playing Sundari Peacekeeper, which is not a rebel. Wrecker, which is not a rebel, and of course, which we'll call it Poe Dameron, which is also not a rebel. Sabine Yellow obviously plays Millennium Falcon, which is not a rebel. And Sabine Blue also plays a few non-rebel cards, so that's nothing new. But I think there's gonna see more of a deviation out of rebels because some of the rebels have just been outclassed by other cards. Like even with the Sabine Yellow build, we're not playing Red 3 anymore because it's just not a good card anymore. It's gotten outstatted and it's obsolete as a card. Even stuff like K2SO might finally be pushed out of the deck for good, because there's a card in this set where I feel like it's taking its slot because it's just a better card and it does more. Not quite like K2SO, but like it's just a good card in the 4-cost slot. But we'll get into it instead of just rambling a lot. Let's see. So we're gonna stop at. These are all the leaders here. And of course the bases. 20 HP bases will probably end up replacing the 30 HP vanillas just because they do something for only 2 less HP. I don't think that 2 HP makes too big of a difference, so you can get the Force token for a lot of these new Force unit cards. So obviously this Vader is broken, but we're going to be ignoring a lot of the villainy stuff. Uh, let's see what the first one was. Ezra Bridger. Okay, so yeah, I think he might be the only rebel in this set. This is actually generically a really good card, but this will be a good card for Sabine Blue in the 3 slot. As a ground unit on attack, make you an experience token to another creature or specter unit. Sabine does actually play a decent amount of specter units, so Ezra Bridger is like an auto include for the deck. And him having a trigger on attack means he works with Fleet Lieutenant, obviously, which Sabine Blue might still play Fleet Lieutenants, any other force attacking cards for that'll work on ground units. Also, the T6 shuttle is actually a really good card. It's not a rebel, but it's a 3/3/4 space unit that when it gets attacked, it gets an experience token on the attack. This is deceptively strong because if someone's attacking, if they're not damaging it with like direct damage, if they're trying to attack into it to get rid of it, it's always going to be a 4/5 minimum, not actually a 3/4. So like a 4/5 for 3 is actually really, really good and really, really strong. Because basically the opponent always has to do math that they have to be 1 stronger to kill this thing, while also taking into account that its attack power is going to be 1 higher when it trades back, to make sure their unit doesn't just tries to kill it and then die, and then they don't kill it because it gets boosted on the attack. And that's before damage, as it specifies in the text. It's before the damage. So, yeah, this is also deceptively strong for card in general. Sabine Blue is also going to be playing this card moving forward. This is a very strong card. What else? This one's okay as a 4/4/4. This set, we're seeing a lot of higher static units, which I'm not sure if it's because they're like force units or Jedi's and they're trying to like really push the set mechanics, or if we're seeing some new set standard baseline for stats. We also see a lot of, there's actually like 2 or 3 4/5/4s in this set, ground units, when like set 1, 2, and 3 we saw absolutely none. And then the last set we got Cham, who was a 4/5/4. I think he was actually the first one that we got with that stat line that didn't have like a negative effect. He actually had a positive effect. That's why I'm thinking that K2SO may be kind of like getting pushed to the side more. Being a 4/4/4 just isn't strong enough anymore unless it has something else. Like this has a shield, which is actually kind of decent. Obviously K2SO is still strong because of his death ability, but that's only on death and he has overwhelm. But like, we're getting so many cards now that are higher statted with different abilities that it's just like he just doesn't seem as strong anymore because he's just such a slow card. He's still good in green because you can give him ambush, and I guess yellow now can give him ambush, but you have to pay 1 more for him in both scenarios. So is that still good? It's kind of hard to say right now. This guy's also kind of strong. It's just a generic 5-drop for Sabine Blue. A blue Plo Koon for Sabine Blue. This will actually be pretty decent because he gets grit when you have your force token. Ironically, the one thing that all the Sabine decks are going to have in common is that they all curve right around 6. Because Sabine Green top end is basically Wrecker. Sabine Yellow's top end is Plo Koon, who is a 5. But a few Sabine Yellows are playing Han Solo, the Ambusher from set 1, who's a 7 cost, but like you really don't get to him very often. But he's right around where he's kind of around the 6-7 range. If the games go long, you probably will get to 7 resources and you might drop a 7. Especially for Sabine Yellow and Blue, because Wrecker pops your resource because you're probably playing him to use his ability, so you're going back down to 5. So you kind of stay at 6 for the whole game, depending on how many records you have. But you don't need anything in green above record because his ability is just so good with ambush. This is another playable card. This is a really strong ability on a 2 cost, but I'm not sure if it's going to see play because you have to exhaust a friendly unit. And the unit you exhaust, it gets a shield and 2 experience token, which seems insane, but you have to exhaust it. So I'm not sure how strong that's going to be. This will probably be a side deck card for like if you're side decking Sentinels as well, which you probably are. I don't see on because they haven't made units that can attack while exhausted. There's cards that let you do that, but there's no units that inherently do that. So this is really only good for like a Sentinel. If a card already has Sentinel, you can boost it and give it a shield and make it like a super Sentinel. So that it becomes really annoying for the opponent to deal with. But I don't know if this card's gonna see play or not. Well, the next page. This is the mono blue cards. Nothing super outstanding. 2/2 shielded. Blue finally gets one. The blue Anakin unit. Sabine Blue might play this. Sorosu Stance. This is. So I think there's a cycle of these for blue, yellow, and green. This is the blue one. Still not bad. Basically it's a 1-cost event that lets you play a unit plus give it something else. Unfortunately, I think this is the weakest of the 3. And it has to be a force unit because you're so restricted to that, but you give it a shield. There are some good force units. And also, I guess the benefit is that shield tokens do stack. So your unit can have more than one shield token. So this could either be a very strong side deck card or potentially even a main deck card for Sabine Blue to play a force unit with and give it a shield. I can't think of any on top of my head, but this is just a card to keep an eye out for Sabine Blue moving forward. Crushing Blow, removal card. Probably side deck. 3-cost removal. Playable, but unfortunately 3 cost is the high end for removal. Sabine wants everything that it wants to do as removal as a non-unit to be 2 or less, unfortunately. This might see side deck play, but this is like in the same category as Waylay. 3 costs is just too like Waylay shouldn't be a bad card and isn't a bad card, but it is a bad card in Sabine because it costs 3. If it costs 2, it'd be a decent card, but because it costs 3, it's not that good of a card because 3 is too much to pay for a removal card option in Sabine specifically. Gunji, who might be a new 2-drop for Sabine Green because it's a 2/2/5. It's not a rebel, but with that stat line, it's super strong. I feel like this is going to see play. Jedi Counselor, no. He requires you to have too much going on to get him to work. Great ability otherwise, but you have to do too much to get to that point. On defeat, not as strong. Green Obi-Wan Kenobi, when you play a Force unit, he gains Sentinel for the phase. I wish he would just keep the Sentinel, not just the phase, but that's not... His stat line's okay for a 3 cost. It's like Gunji. good stats, but his ability is kind of iffy. Here's another. This one of the fabled 454. This is the green one. Kind of like a Cham, but he has to die. But that 4 or 5 stat line is becoming more common. It's very tempting. That your 4 drops potentially swinging for 5, or at least can trade into 5s, is kind of strong because we haven't had that stat line for so long. So now those four drops are now up trading as they should. It's very tempting to not play K2SO in the 4 drop slot for a 4/5/4 that does something else just because it has 1 more power. I think Cham's also a rebel. Yeah, I think Cham's like a rebel Twi'lek, so he's even stronger. But I don't think he's red heroic. I think he's just red, but he's really strong. This new Leia has a lot of potential. It's not a rebel, but has a great ability where, while this unit is in the space arena, she can't ready and gains action, use the Force. So you have to already have your Force token. Move it to the ground arena and give each friendly heroic unit +2/+2 for the face. That's the ability you want to play this for, since Sabine decks are just filled with heroic units. This will boost her for that phase, even though she'll already have done her thing and be exhausted. The key here is that you can give her ambush. People have pointed out that the rulings have changed for units that come in exhausted. If you give them ambush, they do come in ready. Even if the ability says they come in exhausted, ambush readies them so they can attack, because they kind of have to utilize ambush. And this can be ECL, timely intervention, that type of stuff. It's definitely not like, I don't think it's replacing or even a better Poe Dameron pilot unit that can ambush in space and then switch to ground. This is something completely different. But this will really only be good with ambush. Poe Dameron, the pilot unit, actually has ambush on it, which makes it a slightly better card. This, you have to give it ambush through another effect. As it is on its own, it wouldn't normally be that strong. But giving this ambush makes it a lot stronger and better of a card. But yeah, you have to give it ambush. So you have to use your ECL when your timely interventions on this. So your once per game base, or you have to make this a 6 cost to do it, but that might be relevant. Boost all your heroic ground units for the rest of that phase. Could be, assuming you have at least a few of them out there, could be like a very swingy play or even a game-ending play. Ironically, this is also really strong for Leia from set 1. Even though this isn't a rebel, it will boost your other rebels in Leia, and then Leia can use her ability, so like you're swinging with a lot. And if you have Rebel Assault on top of this after the fact, then it just becomes absolutely insane. That's just a huge chunk of damage if you have the resources to pay for all of that. That would obviously be like a 7 resource play at that point, and you have to have other units out, but that's like probably a game-ending play if you have all that ready to go. So yeah, this is a super strong card in green. So I'm not sure if Sabine Green would play this. It might. Poe Dameron slightly better. But I think Leia definitely plays this. But I'm not sure about Sabine Green. It's possible though. Have the Paladin Corvettes. No, it's 4 specific. Cost 7, cost 8. A Force Searcher, which isn't bad. Into the mono green units. Nothing here stood out, I think. And I think the next page, I think we're going to be out of green here. Yeah, so this is the green cycle, the counterpart to Sorayusa, the Soresu stance or whatever it's called. This is the green variant. Attack with the force unit, even if it's exhausted, it gets +1/+0. And it can't attack bases. So force restriction, not as good, but it does the thing. Another green 1-drop. All the 1-drop events in green. You gain the force, you get your force token, and you get to play a force unit. Pretty simple and straightforward. I don't think Sabine Green is going to play any of these. But these are options for Leia, potentially, if Leia wants to go into non-rebel stuff. The Burden of Masters, put a force unit from your discard pile. Yeah, so this one's actually deceptively pretty good. It does require you to have basically a dead force unit. It goes on the bottom of your deck from your discard pile. But if you do that, you get to play a unit from your hand and give 2 experience tokens to it. So this is kind of deceptively strong. This might be a side deck card versus being green if it starts playing more force units. And even Leia, if she plays a few force units that are outside of Rebel Tribal. Because the 1 cost that's giving 2 experience tokens to a unit is really, really good. It just requires you to have a dead force unit to put back in your deck. You don't get to attack with it or anything, but just having that option of 2 experience tokens is on a 1 cost event is actually very strong, with a very low requirement other than just having a dead force unit. That's pretty strong. Something to keep an eye out is this card. It's nothing. That's it for green stuff. Red villainy, so we're just gonna ignore all that. Let's see. Gallia or Gallia. 2/2/4, which is another new stat line that we're seeing in this set more often. Is the 2/2/4 with an upside instead of a downside. When an opponent plays an event, deal 1 damage to that player's base. This is probably a side deck card. This is actually a pretty strong side deck card because the 4 health, it won't die right away. I think all the Sabine variants might side deck this, because we're expecting to see a lot more of Force Throw and maybe even Force Choke, which are both events. So having this out, get some free damage on the opponent's base if they start spamming that stuff. So this could be like a very common side deck card. It's actually a rare. I'm kind of surprised by that, because it normally used to probably be like an uncommon. Because it's not doing a whole lot on its own. It's more so the opponent. But like a free 1 damage, a free 1 damage, and Sabine likes that. So this is definitely a side deck card. I think all Sabines will side deck this. The green, blue, and red. Leia might even side deck this. The Attune Frynok, the 4/1 hidden. This could actually see play if people don't play too many damaging events, or like Quinlan, for example, who can also ping this and kill it. We have a lot of ping leaders now, which kind of sucks, but for a 4 damage unit that can't be attacking is that you have a very strong chance that it gets the swing the subsequent turn. It's probably going to die, but it gets 1 4 damage swing is not terrible. But it's just a creature, and creature doesn't have that level of support that like Rebels or even the Jedi have or the Force have in this set. So I don't know if this sees play. Maybe, maybe not. This remind me of what does it remind me of from set 1? I can't remember the name of it, but there's something from set 1. It didn't have the same stats, but I think it was like the stats were kind of switched, but it had raid. It was also a 2 cost. It could swing for a decent chunk, but no one played it because I think it required to have another red unit. Jedi Starfighter. I wish it was a Rebel. 2/1/4, not a terrible stat line. But it swings for too little. I wish it was like this, but then it would probably be a unique. Jedi Knight. Initiative to generate ground unit. Possible side deck card. Ki Adimundi. He's meant for the Ray leader, but his ability is actually not terrible. When played, you may use the Force, so you lose your Force token. If you do, draw 2 cards. Something that Sabine hasn't really had is like a draw card unit. I know they exist, but none of them were like convenient enough for Sabine where she would actually want to play them. But this would be the one that Sabine would play if Sabine actually wanted to play draw card units. I don't think he beats out K2SO, but he's definitely an alternative option. Pretty easy to meet condition at the 4 costs. It just, you just have to use your Force token and you get a 2-card draw. Probably a side deck. If discard becomes a thing, he would probably be a number 1 side deck card because it'll give you cards back to your hand. Yeah, I think he's right now he's like very strong side deck card, maybe not main deck worthy just yet. Because all the Sabines have K2SO, and I don't think any of them would replace him for this, but he'd probably be in the side deck. Aether Sprite. Decent ability, but a 5/4/5 Saboteur. He has all the right stats and the right abilities, but not a rebel. And he only does it once. I wish he did this kind of on attack so he could like keep doing it when played and on attack. Make him a little bit better. Otherwise, it's kind of an okay card, but not great for Sabine. Ray is... This card's actually really good, but not for Sabine green or yellow, because they don't really have the draw card units. If they play this guy, then yes. With this guy, it's good. And obviously the Ray Leader, this is really good. The new Ray Leader we get in this set. But when you draw this card during the action phase, which is the phase where you're actually playing your cards, not the draw phase, it has to be the actual action phase. If you control a red leader or base, you may reveal this card from your hand, and if you do, deal 2 damage to a unit and 2 damage to a base. This is a super strong ability because you don't have to pay anything for it to get that ability. You just have to reveal it. It is just a 5/5/5 otherwise, so it's not doing too much. But this is actually, I think this is the 5-drop for Sabine Blue. Because Sabine Blue is already probably going to be side decking this or playing it. Plus they have the Red Wing, which is the blue ship that can deal 2 damage to itself, I think, to draw 2. So you're maximizing your options to draw one of these. Granted, you're only going to have 3 in deck, so it's kind of random whether or not you hit this or not to do the free damage, but the options are there. And all those options, a lot of the card options are actually in Sabine Blue with this card. Just hoping this card doesn't end up being too expensive. It probably will because it's a Ray card and has decent art, so it'll probably have a high cost to it. But this is a Sabine Blue card. Sabine Green and Sabine Yellow probably aren't going to play this because they don't have the option to draw a lot of cards if they play stuff like this to warrant this. Sabine Blue is already playing the draw cards that let this be a viable card in that color. Another Mace Windu. Probably the best Mace Windu, unironically, right now. Just got to use the Force, deals 4 damage to any unit, grounder space. That's actually decent, and he has Overwhelm. Not bad. Sin. Gotta have a lightsaber in discard. Or no, that'd be in your hand. Play a lightsaber from your hand for free and ready him. Great ability, but you gotta play a lightsaber, and you have to have it in hand when you drop him on 8. And then he'll get to swing for a big chunk with your lightsaber. So, good card, but he's an 8. So, generic lightsaber. It can only go on Jedi's non-vehicles. 2/3/2. It's a thing. Force in reality, each friendly force unit gains raid 1 and cyber with his face. Might see play. It's only a 2 cost, but it'll work on any force units. In total, you have ground and space, I believe. Yeah, ground and space. Raid 1 and Saboteur. Possible side deck card if you're playing a lot of force units. And then the mono red units, which are kind of sad, not too great. Jedi in hiding, interesting ability, but it's on the feet, and they gave it hidden. So you'd have to like crash it into something. Each opponent discards a card. It's kind of like a Winnie K2 minus the damage option. I don't know if this sees play. Marin on attack. This card might see side deck play. 3/2/5, decent statted. On attack, just you can discard any card, deal 2 damage to any unit, so ground or space. It could work. It can also swing into something and discard the card, so it's doing 4 damage to that unit if it's on the ground. So it can kind of upgrade and potentially live. This reminds me of the Red 5 space unit, but it's just on attack, deal 2 damage to a damage unit. This will kind of be like a ground variant, sort of, but you have to discard for it. It could be a side deck card. It does work nicely with the red 5 space unit, but they're both on 3. So it'll be hard to get them both going. If this was a 2 cost, it'd be better, because then you could drop this first, then the red 5, and then you'll swing with this, discard a card, have a damage unit, and then red 3 can hit it again and probably even kill it. That'd be a nice, back-to-back 1-2 turn combo. But this might see side deck play, because red 5 is still seeing play, so this card will potentially see play. Creature. Potentially a 6/4. This is worth noting. Quinlan Voss unit on attack unit has 6 more power, maybe damage to an enemy base. It works with the Asajj Ventress, who can give another unit when played on attack +2, so these two kind of combo with each other. Obviously, you put an upgrade on them that gives them at least +2. This will also just work, so you don't have to play this. Yeah, if we get another cheap upgrade that's at 1 cost or less, or if he was a rebel, yeah, obviously, but you have to give him experience tokens, at least 2 of them, to get him to where his ability will start kicking in. This is another strong card in the 4 slot, though. This could potentially see play if we figure out an easy way to boost him up. He could see play just to throw 2 damage at the base each time he swings, and he statted nicely. Oh, we actually do a rebel ship in this set. Saboteur, once you do combat damage to a base. Okay. 5/4 is actually low statted, but it has Saboteur, so it swings past Sentinels, can swing into a shielded unit, and as long as it hits the base. See, they should have gave it Overwhelm. That would have been the obvious thing to give it, so it could guarantee it's hitting the base, even if it goes into a Sentinel. Gets an experience token, but it's what the token goes to itself. And yeah, I wish they gave it a higher stat line for a 5 cost, but I see why they did it. They tried to balance it out, but I think they balanced it too much. It makes it kind of not good. To make it worth like another 5 cost, it has to like hit the base twice at least to make it worth it. So, but it exists. It's a rebel, so who knows? Works with all the Sabine Rebel support. This might see play. Another card to keep an eye on. This card, I don't know if that's Saisi or Saisi Teen or 10. I don't know any of these names. When played, if you have the initiative, deal 1 damage. This could be a side deck card for Sabine if you take the initiative in the Vader Yellow matchup to blow up their TIE fighters if they haven't boosted them. This can kill 3 of their TIE fighters by itself. Which is actually not bad. So side deck card against Sabine Yellow, or against Vader Yellow for Sabine, potentially. You just gotta take the initiative and hope that they don't drop the dude that boosts all the TIE fighters. Let's see. He's an A cost, but not a bad ability to clear things out. This card, which is kind of similar to him, but it's a 4-cost upgrade. It has to go on a non-vehicle, so I can play it on an actual unit. Gives it +2/+2, but then when played, you may deal 1 damage to a ground unit, then another damage, then another damage. So it deals 3. On a 4-cost upgrade with 2/2. If there's a way to cheat this in, it could be a thing to kill it, but it's only the hits ground unit. I wish this could hit anything. It'd be a little bit better. Interesting card ability. Sorcerer's Blast. Use the Force. Deal 3 damage to a unit. This card will see play probably in all versions of Sabine in the side deck, as long as you're generating the Force, because it's a 1 damage, 1 cost, 3 damage. This is basically Lightning Bolt in Magic. This is Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt with a condition, but it's Lightning Bolt. Yeah, this will see side deck play. This kills a lot of units. This is what we want to see, more efficient removal. It requires you to have a thing, but it's gonna deal a lot of damage. It's doing way more damage than thing. I think because what it's open fire is 4 damage on 3, which is a lot. But this is 3 damage on a 1. You just have to use the Force. So this is like really, really good. And Sabine was already playing the 1 cost 2 damage to unit or base from anywhere, but with no conditions. This is a 3. This can only hit units, but it'll hit ground or space. So this is actually very versatile and very good. Might even see main deck, but this is definitely like #1 side deck. At least to raise your friendly. I wish it doesn't let it attack, so no, but it's a decent sized boost, but it doesn't let it attack. Have ready for Force units. Do or do not. You may use the Force. If you do, draw 2 cards, or if you do not, draw only 1 card. If you're playing this, you're gonna be playing it to draw 2, so you're getting a 2 for 2. Again, this feeds into the other card from the last page, the Ray Red unit. I don't know if Sabine has a space for this. Like I said, if this card becomes a thing, then this becomes another really strong side deck card. Because we're gonna potentially be seeing Force throws and Force chokes as well. So if this card becomes a thing, then this card sees play. Otherwise, it doesn't. Time of Crisis. Each player chooses a unit they control. Deal 3 damage to each unit not chosen this way. Potentially a 4-cost board wipe. Sabine definitely needs something like this in the side deck for like the Vader Yellow matchup. Cause it'll just wipe the board kind of. Because it hits both arenas, because each unit that you don't control, you just pick one to basically save. There's a card in Magic that likes, I forget what it was called, but there's a card like Magic that is basically this, that has this type of effect where you each pick a unit and each other unit gets hit with damage. I don't remember what it was called in Magic. I think it's a Commander card, but yeah, this card is basically that. But this card is actually decent. This is another good side deck card for certain matchups. Yellow Villainy, I think we're finally at Yellow Hero. So Yellow Hero, what do we got? That is good. This was something I talked about in my last video. Green Heroism had the Green Wing, the 2/3/2 vanilla, and it's like yellow doesn't have one. Yellow should have one. Well, now we do. It's not a rebel, but we have one. We have a 2/3/2 vanilla. So Sabine Yellow probably has to play this to combat Sabine Green. Unironically. We can't boost this or any way other than with like fighter cards, because it does have fighter, because Naboo isn't a thing right now. But this effectively trades into their vanilla, because Sabine Green is main decking that card now because it's strong, but theirs is actually a rebel, so it's better than ours. But we can now trade with it as long as they don't boost it before we can get in with this. So yeah, we needed this. I wish it was a rebel. It's not, but it's good enough. I'll take it. Yeah, I don't know if Sabine Yellow will main deck this. Probably side deck it. It's possible. BD1's kind of a new card. A 1/3/1 droid, not a rebel, unfortunately. Hidden, so it's not gonna get attacked when you play it. When played, choose another friendly unit. It can be any unit. While this unit is in play, the control unit gets +1/+0 and gains Saboteur. So it can't choose itself. It specifies another unit. This is actually kind of decent. For Sabine Yellow might play this because Sabine Yellow plays the Cartel Turncoat, which is the 1/2/3. So then that makes it a 1/3/3 with Saboteur is kind of good. Yeah, and this is the right costs and the right abilities to do that. It does have to stay out. Yeah, so it should have just been a static ability, but it's a when played trigger, choose a friendly unit, then while this unit is in play. So a little wordy there, but I get why they did it that way. I'm trying to think. I wish it gave it +1/+1 and Saboteur, but that might have been a little bit too strong. The Saboteur isn't needed as much because Sabine's already playing the little weenie guy, the 1/2/2 that gets rid of a Sentinel off a unit for a phase. Sabine's always going to side deck that card because Sabine just has to side deck that card. Sabine Yellow now at least had the option where it could potentially play this instead. Because it effectively does the same thing. It's a better statted unit to do that. And it's applying the same thing. The other guy, the 1/2/2, it lets all your guys swing past the Sentinel if they're in the same arena. This guy's only going to let your one guy get past the Sentinel. Well, it's giving it a boost to do that. So generally, the other guy is probably going to be better in most scenarios, but this one is still interesting because it is a one cost. It stays out. It can still swing on its own. The opponent can't really kill it unless they're playing a kill spell on it, which is a waste for them because it's not doing too much. And Sabine Yellow still plays a lot of decent units that can now upgrade with this. So this might actually see main deck play. It is a unique, so we're only going to have one of them out, but this is something to actually look at for Sabine Yellow. Because Sabine Yellow's already kind of had to deviate away from Rebels to play more non-Rebel stuff just to be able to keep up with the meta and the format. This might be one of those cards that it actually plays. They probably will play this actually before it plays this. This is still decent for Sabine Yellow, but I think this might actually see main deck play. Young Padawan is just for Force Token Generator, and it's a non-unique, so you just keep spamming it and playing it. The stats aren't terrible for the ability you're getting off it, but you're playing it for the ability, not the stats. Does Sabine Yellow play this? It depends on how many force things Sabine needs to run to function. Probably not, because the base will probably do that for you. Because Sabine Yellow will have to play the if it wants to use the force stuff, Sabine Yellow's gonna play the yellow force base, the 28 HP one. But this is an option. Stat wise for Sabine Yellow, it's not a good card. Sabine Yellow wants high static units like this. But for the ability, you might have to play this. J-type Nubian Starship. When played, draw a card. When defeated, discard a card. So this is like the yellow unit from 2 sets ago. The ground unit, I think it's a 2/2/5. When you play it, draw a card. When it dies, you have to discard a card. This is that, but a ship version. It's actually weaker than the ground unit, which is kind of surprising. So its stats are bad. I wish this would was a 2/2/4, but this is a draw. Yeah, I don't know. I think Sabine Yellow skips this one because its stats are bad as a 3 cost. If it was a 2 cost, possibly. If it was 2 cost, this might have seen play. But because it's a 3 cost, I don't think it does. Because the stats are too bad. The stats are too low as a 3 cost unit. This is also would be fighting with Millennium Falcon, which is like the best 3-drop unit. Vernestra Ro or Rio, I don't know how it's pronounced. 3/3/4 Force Jedi. When played, you may use the Force. If you do, ready this unit. So this is like the yellow unit from last set that Quinlan would always play. It was only a 2/2/3, but it dealt 3 indirect, and if they took it to, if any of it went to a base, they got to ready. This is kind of like that, but this is just you use your Force token. This is actually like a ground Millennium Falcon for Sabine Yellow. Sabine Yellow actually is probably going to play main deck 3 of this, because this is actually a good card. As long as you have the Force when this comes out, like either through this or through the base, if you manage to trigger it some other kind of way, you play this. Now you just have another set of Millennium Falcons, but this one's just on the ground. It's not a rebel, so you can't boost it or do any kind of Sabine trickery with it. But the fact that it just gets to ready itself and swing for 3 is actually pretty strong. And it's statted nicely. 3/3/4 is a good stat line. It's better in space than it is on the ground, because in space that's considered a high stat line. On the ground, it's kind of like a whatever stat line. But units that get to ready themselves that have decent stats need to be looked at, and I think Sabine Yellow actually main decks this. You have to find room for it in the deck. I'm not sure what comes out, but I feel like a reading unit, Sabine Yellow plays it. That's kind of like what Sabine Yellow does, is the stuff like this. So yeah, I think this gets main deck play. Jedi Sentinel. This is that 4 or 5 stat line I talked about that's coming into fruition this set. We're seeing it more and more. While the Force is with you, this unit gains Sentinel. So this is kind of like the Qui-Gon, the mini Qui-Gon, the green one. But that one only gets Sentinel for the face. This one keeps it as long as you have the Force. So this might be a side deck card for Yellow Sabine as a Sentinel if Sabine needs that. It exists. It's a thing. This replaces K2 or even Kira. But we have this now, so this is an option. Qui-Gon Jinn's Aether Sprite unattacked. Maybe. Oh, a really low statted on a 5 cost unit ship. Kind of bad stats, not a rebel, so this probably won't see play. Only on plays, so this is actually better statted than this one. Even a slightly better ability, but this won't see play either. Has to be an exhausted unit. That's kind of meh. Depa Balaba, 6/5/7 Ambush Saboteur. Great stats, great abilities. With the 1 cost yellow ambush card, this sees play, this becomes a 7. This would basically be like another Han, but it has Saboteur. So this is actually a pretty strong card. Now we also have a Qui-Gon, which is which also has ambush, and then when defeated, choose not only around it, it's only put it on the top or bottom of the deck. Him probably not. Her, yes. Qui-Gon lightsaber only works on Qui-Gon, so not so much. Mind Trick exhausts any number of units with a combined power of 4 or less. If you control a Force unit, those units lose all abilities and can't gain abilities this phase. It's probably not hitting that many units, so this probably isn't that great. It does negate them, which is kind of good. But you need to have a Force unit out as well, so probably doesn't see play. It might, though. Apprentice of Dune is a weird one. Next time you take the initiative, this phase exhausts all units. So you have to play it. The opponent gets an action. Then you take if they don't take the initiative, then you have to take the initiative to trigger this. I don't think this is good at all. This is a legendary, or no, this is a rare. Yeah, this is not good. Not good. Could be wrong, but I don't think it's very good. This one requires you to do too much. Otherwise, this would actually be a kind of interesting card. It's an action to let you attack with a droid unit, but it basically attacks with its HP, its remaining HP instead of its power. Because a lot of the droids are low power, high HP. The R2D2, BB8. We just saw the BD1. But this requires you have to action it, then it gets to swing with the other one. But this has to like live and do its thing, so no. It is a 1 cost. It is statted correctly for what it's trying to do, so you can play it alongside a droid in yellow, but I don't think that's worth it. It's just so your droid is doing 3 or 4 damage. Maybe. I could be wrong, but no. It's also unique. So yeah. Interesting ability, but I don't think Sabine Yellow is going to be playing this. 2-1-4 ambush. Wish I had a higher attack power, but another ambusher for yellow. Counter hidden card. It gets raid 2, so it upswings as a 3/4/4. Each enemy unit loses hidden for this phase. Not bad. I don't think Sabine Yellow plays this, but this might be a side deck card if hidden becomes a thing and becomes a problem. I don't think it does, but maybe. Yeah, a 4/3/4 ambush hidden. No, because we have the 3-cost heroic chick that can ambush with the Force. Well, not ambush, but ready. But this also exists. It's not terrible, I guess. This might be a side deck card. Dooku, that 4/5/4 stat line we've been seeing, has hidden, and then each friendly unit with hidden can't be attacked this phase. So it's a hidden that gives your other hiddens that are still alive on the board hidden again, essentially. I don't think he sees play, but there's always a possibility. Enemies here gets raid 2. 4/5/5. It's a Force unit. And Force units have support, but I don't think this one sees play either. We're going to see a heroic unit coming up pretty soon that I think all Sabines are going to play. That I'm going to talk about a little bit more. 6/6 shielded. Great stats, great ability. It is a Force. Okay card. It's probably not going to see play but in Sabine Yellow, but okay card. Saboteur upgrade. Disturbance in the Force. If a friendly unit left play this phase, the Force is with you, and you may give a shielding to a unit. I want to say this is good, but I don't think this is good, unfortunately. a friendly unit has to have left play the phase, so it either has to have died or done something else. But you get your force token and a shield. Might be a side deck card, actually. This could be a side deck card. This might be... I could be wrong on this, but this might be the first yellow card we've had in the game that actually gives shield tokens, because that's usually a blue thing or a white thing. And I don't think yellow does this. So this might be the first yellow card that actually does this. It might even be the only yellow card that does this. So this might see side deck play for Sabine Yellow, just because of how rare it is to get that ability on a yellow card. Sabine Yellow might actually play this. Huge reduction for exhausted unit, but probably won't see play. No, because it hurts you just for a singular draw. Trait search for anything. It's in yellow. Nope. Shein Flurry. So this is one of the good yellow cards we got. Play a force unit from your hand, and it gains ambush for this phase. The next time it would be dealt damage this phase, prevent 2 of that damage. This is really, really good. This is the type of card yellow probably should have had all the way back in set 1, even no later than set 2. The fact that we're getting it now, this late in the game, kind of sucks. But this is a really good card for yellow. It only works on a force unit, but it gives any force unit ambush. This is strong. You don't need the force token, and it gives you a 2 damage reduction on that force unit when it swings in with ambush. This is really good. This is yellow's version of timely intervention. More or less. If it doesn't see main deck play, we'll see side deck play. Absolutely. This is just a generically good card for yellow. Sabine Yellow's going to play this in some form, main deck or side deck. It's just going to depend on how many force units ultimately end up in the Sabine Yellow deck that is going to warrant this. You're probably not going to use it on the yellow heroic chick. That's the 3/3/4, because her own ability lets her ready herself. So you don't really want to play 4 for just to give her ambush when she can just come down on 3 and just ready up anyway and get the swing at anything. But yeah, for another force unit, give it ambush, and any of them, this is really good. Trust your instincts. Use the force. If you attack with the unit, it gets +2 for its attack and deals common damage before the attacker. So kind of like you shot first, but you need to use the force. 2/0 boost. Unironically, this might see side deck play, because the shoot first card from, was it set 1 or set 2 that came out, actually does still see play in Sabine Yellow, because that first strike type of ability is really rare in this game, and yellow is the only color that seems to, I think yellow is the only color that has that first strike ability so far. So now we're getting another card that does that, essentially. I think this will probably replace it when that one rotates out, which that one is going to rotate out when we hit our rotation. This won't rotate out, so this will kind of replace that. But you have to use the force. But now we have 2 for the time being. So yeah, this might see side deck play. A precarious predicament. Return the enemy non-leader unit to its owner's hand unless its controller says it could be worse. If they do, you may play a card named It's Worse from your hand or resources for free. Another thing I mentioned in my last Sabine Yellow video, that there needs to be some form of 2-cost removal for Sabine Yellow to get better, and we actually got one, and I'm kind of surprised. This one's actually decent. I do believe this is the only 2-cost bounce card we have right now. There is a condition on it. However, that condition really isn't bad. So It's Worse. It's going to be at the end of this reveal, but it's a 7-cost card. It's a colorless, but it just says, I think it just destroys the unit, and it's a non-leader unit, and it's a 7-cost. Just for the ruling nerds out there, if you put its worst in your resource zone and you play it, it is not smuggle. You do not get to replace it. You lose that resource. So you neg resource, but you get to kill the unit. Um, this is actually a good card. I think Sabine Yellow plays this. I think Sabine Yellow plays this, and I think it plays 3 of this, and it plays 3 of the It's Worse, since you get to play that one for free. It does require you to play the 7 cost, essentially colorless brick in your deck, but if the opponent buys into it, if the opponent doesn't realize what you're trying to do, it's like, you let me have my 2 cost bounce or I'm killing your unit anyway, essentially. They have to call your bluff on whether or not you have it. You're probably going to have it, but yeah, 2 cost bounce is good. This is why Waylay sucks, because Waylay is 3. This is 2. This is actually good. This is a good card. If they just made a 2 cost bounce, it would be good in and of itself, but they gave it a secondary ability where the opponent can try to reject it, and then you get to just straight up kill the unit. You have to play the 7 cost colorless brick in your deck, but I think it's worth it. That being said, I don't like the fact you have to play the 7 cost colorless brick, but you can make the argument that, well, you can play a 53 card deck, and it's not the worst case, it's not the worst scenario in the world. Sabine, all variants already play low curve. Going down one resource to kill a unit isn't the worst thing in the world. Obviously, you don't want to use it on something that has a super strong when played ability, so that doesn't trigger again. But now it's just like you have a 2 cost bounce on anything the opponent plays, and they probably gonna let it go because they don't want you to kill it, or you're killing it. This card is actually really good. I think Sabine Yellow plays this. Worst case scenario, Sabine Yellow side deck this, and you also will side deck It's Worse to go with it, because I think you kind of have to. Because you have to at least threaten. You have to threaten them. You have to threaten their bluff, or they have to bluff your threaten. It's like, you don't play this without It's Worse. You can, but they might always call your bluff on it. Some people are just like that, where they're kind of, they have that mindset where it's like, well, I'm just gonna call their bluff anyway because it's giving me the choice to not let this bad thing happen. But they should just let the thing happen, because it hurts you more if they just let you bounce it. Because then you have to keep the colorless brick. But like, you're always gonna resource that card. You're not gonna keep it in your hand. You're not paying 7 for that. So you're always gonna resource it if you draw it. It's just an auto resource. But yeah, I think you play that, and even to warn it, I think Sabine even just plays a 53 card deck just to play the 3 of that card with this, and you just play it. There's no reason to really play a Waylay or even the other one, the rescue capture one. I forget the name of it now, but I play it. You play this instead. You play this instead from now on. Sabine Yellow. So you either bounce the unit for a 2 cost or you kill it. Good card. Good card. You play this. Force illusion, exhaust an enemy unit, and a friendly unit gains Sentinel. This is actually a decent card because it can tap down and give another one Sentinel, so it forces another one of their units that can attack to hit the Sentinel if they can't deal with it. So this is actually a pretty good card. It probably won't see play because at best it's a side deck card, but this is actually a good ability for a card. It would have been better if it was a 1 cost, but as a 2 cost is actually still kind of decent. Because Bamboozle's a 2 cost, but it can be free sometimes, and kills an upgrade. This is actually kind of a decent card for what it's doing. Pounce, which is actually not that great. 3 lessons. Play a unit from your hand. You gotta play its cost. It gains hidden. You get an experience token and a shield token to it. So this is doing a lot. So it's a 2 cost on top of your unit, but you get 3 abilities. You get 3 things out of it. You get hidden, an experience token, and a shield. That's really, really strong, but it sucks that this is a 2 cost. It'll work on any unit. this might see side deck play, but there has to be like a really, really strong unit you want to play this on to make it worthwhile. Since you're getting upcharged two extra costs for it. Like, I think this card has a space. But the unit has to be really, really good for this card to see play. Because that's a lot for a 2 cost. But it needs to be, but you need to play on a really good unit. This might see play. But this is a card to keep an eye out for. This card might actually see play. I don't know what cards right now after this set comes out that you'd play this on or with. Make an argument for any of them because it makes any of them better. But to increase the cost by 2 to warrant this is another thing. So I don't know. We'll see though. This is a really good ability on a card, but it's a 2 cost. Tip the scale, look in the opponent's hand, and discard a non-unit card from it. This is kind of like, was it jamming from last set? The 1 cost, discard an event from the opponent's hand, or a non-unit, something like that. This is that on a 2 cost. 2 cost discard is not great. There's certain cards that with Sabine that 1 cost higher makes the card bad when in any other color it'd actually be decent. Like Waylay, for example. Waylay in any other deck with yellow in it is actually an okay card. But in Sabine, it sucks because it's 3. And Sabine doesn't want to pay that much for a non-unit to do a thing. This card, being a 2 cost, Sabine would actually play this because it's only a 2 cost. This is fine. Waylay being 3, it actually sucks for Sabine. Like, Sabine didn't have a choice but to play Waylay the first couple of sets, and it still wasn't that good. This is actually decent for a 2 cost because it's not taking up all your resources for the turn to get a thing off the field. No, the Waylay, even on 6 resources, is half your resource in a Sabine deck, which Sabine never wants to do, just to bounce a card. It really, really sucks in Sabine. In any other color, in a control color or a mid-range color, is fine, but in Sabine, in aggro color, it's really bad. This is okay for aggro at 2. This at 2 for discard Sabine is bad. In any other color with yellow, it's okay. But Sabine has jamming. It has Spark Rebellion, which is discard any card. It's also 2 cost, but also not good because it's a 2 cost. If it was a 1 cost, it'd be better. So this probably won't see play, but it exists. That's all I can say about it. It exists. Bounce plus discard on 4. Not good for Sabine. The mono villainy cards, so we're going to ignore all those and we go to the very last page. And we get the mono heroic cards. None of these are very good. This comes close, but still isn't very good because you need to have too much to get it up to its stats higher. You need a Jedi to make it an X-Wing, essentially, and then you need a lightsaber out to make it a 3/3. Which is where it would actually be good, but as it is, it's not good. Grogu. Hidden action, heal up to 2 damage from a unit if you do deal damage to another unit. So this is kind of like another Rose Tico effect. Heal your unit, then throw the damage that you healed to something else. It's a 1/6, statted correctly, 3. Has hidden great ability, so the opponent can't just rush into it right away to try to kill it. It can heal itself. It doesn't have to be another unit. So that's worth mentioning. Great ability. I don't think Sabine plays this. So, however, Sabine Blue might play this. It's in a weird spot, kind of like with the Ray unit, where it's really only strong in Sabine Blue, Sabine Blue has a couple of self-damaging units that it would typically play. So then the Grogu actually has a place to then become another damage dealing card as well as healing the unit. So this could actually see play in Sabine Blue specifically. The other Sabines are going to play this, but I think Sabine Blue might actually play this. So if you're someone who wants to play Sabine Blue, this is a card to take a look at potentially. Got a Gungan Warrior. No, as hidden, but no. Jocasta, when play, you may attach a friendly upgrade on a friendly unit to a different friendly. Nope, just a unit. Just an upgrade swap. That's not a good card. So Luke Skywalker. So I think this is the last good card we're gonna be looking at for the video today. How long is this video? I apologize if it's been super long. Do we have a time? Okay, yeah, an hour. Oops, my bad. I've been talking forever. This is the last one, I promise. Luke Skywalker, 4/3/5 Force Fringe. When you play another unique unit, which is the star symbol, like he has, you may use the Force. Use your Force token. If you do, give an experience token and a shield token to this unit. This is really, really strong. This could potentially replace K2SO in the 4 slot just because of how strong this ability is. Sabine already does play quite a bit unique units. Sabine Green probably less so, but Sabine Yellow and Blue will probably play a few more because they have to play different units. A lot of the green units are not unique, unironically, because they're spammable. That's what actually makes Sabine Green the best color of Sabine, because she has so many spammable low-cost units that are non-unique. She can just throw them out there, and they don't conflict with each other. Luke Skywalker is really good, and I think not only every Sabine deck, but I think every heroic deck will play this card. Because his ability also stacks. You do need to use the Force each time you want his ability to trigger, but to give him an experience token and a shield each time you do it is actually really strong. After one boost, he's a 4/6 with a shield on 4. That's actually really strong. Even 4/3/5 is actually decent. That's the same stats as Kira, who's a 4/3/5. That Sabine Yellow plays. But just for the Force token, getting a 4/6 shielded is actually pretty strong. He can trade into other units, possibly kill them and then not die, which is also really strong because it'll be swinging with a 4 power, or just 4 to base is still pretty decent. And then even in that case, you play another unique unit and you get another shield, which I think he triggers the base after the first boost for himself to get another Force token. You play another unit after he swings again, then he's a 5/7 with a shield. Now he's super strong. Like even the first boost, he's already up trading after one boost. The second boost, he's like super up trading. He's an overpowered unit at that point. That's insane value to have. Potentially a 5/7 with a shield on a 4 cost unit is super strong. Yeah, not much to say about this card other than this card is really, really good. Get 3 of it, because every heroic deck will need 3 of this. This card is good. This card is really, really good. This might be the best card in the set if you're playing heroic. It's definitely up there. It's kind of hard to argue against this card, and I think this is probably the only card in the 4 cost slot that would actually bump out K2SO potentially, just because of how good of an ability this is. Very, very strong card. And yeah, this is the rest of it, and it's worse down there. Doesn't work on leaders, but there you go if you wanted to see it. So yeah, that's it. I didn't want to make a super long video. It ended up being that way anyway. I apologize, but these review videos always end up being long, but I try to keep it as short as I possibly could. I'll try to upload this later. Hopefully give you some insights on how I see Sabine deck evolving and moving forward into the meta in the future. There's definitely some stuff in there for Sabine Green, but I think Yellow gets the most new cards, potential changes, and upgrades to the deck. I think that deck changes drastically after this set comes out. And then I also think Sabine Blue enters as a viable option with actually a lot of good cards as well. It'll be interesting. I'll be playtesting that deck at locals, and I might even take it to, if we have any more regional before the end of this year, I may take it to one of them just to see how it does for my own personal playtesting. Because yeah, I'm actually gonna have the two Sabine builds built separately. I'm gonna have my Sabine yellow build and the blue build. I'm gonna play both to see how they work out after the set comes out. But yeah, interesting set. I like this set. I think it gives a lot of options and utilities for every deck. Not just Sabine, but I think every deck gets a lot of interesting, cool cards from this set. Villainy gets a lot of good stuff in this set, not just heroic. But yeah, let me know what you think about this set below. If you're playing Sabine, or what you think about Sabine for this next set after the set comes out, or even the format or meta changing to involve this set or around this set, how things are going to change. But yeah, comment, like, and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. Thank you for sticking with me to the end of this video. I know it was a long one. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I do appreciate you sticking around. I may keep doing this in the future if you want me to keep doing this, even for like the next set when that set comes out. I'll try to make that one a little bit shorter if I can. But yeah, appreciate all the support. See you guys next time.